Hey guys, it's Tim, and this is Wrestling Unlimited, as it's Monday, and that means tonight was Monday Night Raw. Overall, I thought it was a good show. Wouldn't call it great. Thought it was very easy to watch, and it flowed by really quickly. I will say that for sure. By the time we got to that main event, I was like, dang, it's really main event time. And that main event was awesome. It was a great main event. I would say I've seen a couple of matches that were better over the last couple of days, like Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes on SmackDown. Kyle Fletcher and Jon Moxley from the World's End pay-per-view was better as well. So probably probably the third best match of the last couple of days, I would say. So really good main event, though. I really enjoyed the Usos versus AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. They worked very well together. And then with, the Usos becoming the new World Tag Team Champions, we also had Stephanie Vaquer retain her Women's World Championship. And so 2 title matches, 1 new set of champions, 1 retain. And we got 3 more title matches coming next week on the big Netflix Raw anniversary show that we'll talk about for sure coming up here in a little bit. But with that, I want to say thank you for joining us here, twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you're watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below or by donating Twitch bits, in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of 2 different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime, because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get 1 free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember, you can help us out over on YouTube. You can help us out over there by hitting that subscribe button. That way you know when we post new videos, when we go live, and when we post to the community tab. Also, remember, you can help us out by hitting the join button and becoming a channel member. As a channel member, you get a badge next to your name, emotes, and emojis you can use in the live chat in the comment section, and so much more. Also, remember, if you want to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air, you can do so by donating a super chat in the live chat. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use this code right here, PW Unlimited, at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. Maybe you're getting that iShow Speed skin in Fortnite that just dropped a week ago or last week. Maybe you're getting some of the new Stranger Things collab. Use our code, PWU NLIMITED. So, big fan of Bronny James says, Mr. Tim, you say Penta going to be out for 5 months. No, I didn't. All I said was Penta is injured. They don't know how severe it is, and they don't know how long he's going to be out. Then the last update I gave was Penta's doctor said that he would clear him, but they have to wait on the WWE doctors to clear him. That's the last update I gave. I never once said 5 months. So you want to put words in my mouth, you can get the hell out of my live chat, guy. You want to lie in my live chat, you want to put words in my mouth. I never once said a time frame, let alone 5 months. I never once said any sort of time frame. All I said was Penta suffered a shoulder injury. He's out, and they're getting it evaluated, and we don't know how severe it is, so we don't know how long he's going to be out. That's what was said. So if you want to lie, you can get out of here. You can go. You're not needed. So, yeah. Wrestling is fake 808D. I remember his say that. Yeah, you can get out of here too, because I didn't. Prove to me where I said that. Show me where I said 5 months, because I did not say 5 months, because 5 months was never reported, and I would not make that up. I would not make up a time frame if it was not a given time frame. No one said 5 months. I never said 5 months, so you can go to hell. But with that, we have some news to talk about here before we get into Monday Night Raw. As well, some new text messages have dropped and been discovered in some new court documents that reveal that Vince McMahon was, in fact, I guess you would say, helping creative going into WrestleMania 39 in 2023, as was reported, but this now does confirm it all. The list does come from Post Wrestling, and we're going to read as such. And I am also going to periodically pull up. I'm going to try and pull up the text messages, but Post Wrestling does write, quote, when Vince McMahon announced his retirement from WWE in July of 2022 amid allegations of sexual misconduct, a top executive at Endeavor was already telling colleagues that very day that McMahon's departure would be temporary. He would return, and that the company transaction of WWE could be imminent, forecasting the eventual merger with UFC. In a text message sent within hours of McMahon's public statement, Mark Shapiro, the Endeavor number 2 to Ari Emanuel and now TKO president, outlined a scenario that later unfolded with remarkable accuracy. Now I am going to pull up. I can't get him up right now. I wish I would have saved him out earlier, but it does state, quote, Nick and Stephanie are going to take over the WWE for the next 9 months, Shapiro wrote, referring to Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon, who became co-CEOs that day. Vince will be back with a new board, or he will take the company private, or he will sell it / coming to us. The race is on, Shapiro added. The courtship is on. Shapiro sent the message to Andrew Schleimer, now the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of TKO, and to Jason Lublin, who was Endeavor's CFO at the time. McMahon returned to WWE in January of 2023, less than 6 months later, rather than 9. He did so by reinstating himself onto the board of directors, using the superior voting power as controlling shareholder. McMahon removed several directors, some resigned, and he added 2 others besides himself. Immediately upon his return, WWE announced it was exploring, quote, strategic alternatives, meaning the company was for sale. 3 months after that, WWE agreed to merge with Endeavor's UFC business, creating the parent holding company, now known as TKO. The 2022 text messages from Shapiro is among newly discovered and disclosed records in the ongoing WWE shareholder lawsuit in Delaware Chancery Court. In that case, plaintiffs alleged McMahon violated his fiduciary duties by orchestrating a sale process designed to persuade his own power rather than maximize the best deal for shareholders. The filings also show communication between McMahon and Emanuel through the latter part of 2022, when McMahon was basically in exile and before WWE was formally put for sale. The lawsuit claims that McMahon's priority was to secure his future on top of the WWE, despite the sexual misconduct scandal that led him to resign in 2022 and the payment of millions of dollars in non-disclosure agreements that were not properly recorded on the company's books. Plaintiffs contend that McMahon and Emanuel had a friendship that assured McMahon would stay in the company post-transaction, whereas other potential suitors would have required him to leave WWE permanently. McMahon has denied the allegations. On the other board members at the time of the transaction also defendants in the case, which has been in court since November 2023. Those defendants are current WWE President Nick Khan, Chief Content Officer Paul Levesque, and former executives of the board members George Barrios and Michelle Wilson, who are represented by TKO's outside counsel. They're accused of going along with McMahon's alleged scheme, also in violation of their fiduciary duties. McMahon has separate counsel. The non-McMahon defendants have not filed a public version of their, to date, full sealed answer to the complaint, though they have litigated many discovery issues. The filings don't explain how Shapiro, on that day of McMahon's retirement, appeared so confident that McMahon would be back so soon, possibly overhaul the board and either sell the company or take it private. Multiple requests for comment from this report were sent to representatives of WWE and TKO and separately to McMahon's representatives, but were not returned. On the day McMahon retired, the first of his 2 memorable resignations, he sent a gracious farewell email to WWE's independent directors, thanking them for their work and wishing them well, according to court exhibits. Quote, even though I'm no longer employed by WWE as of 4 p.m. Eastern, I'm taking the liberty of using corporate email 1 hour after my official departure, he wrote. Quote, I hope that's all right, LOL. I understand this has been a painful, arduous process for all of us to reach a conclusion, he told the board. I have the utmost respect for each and every one of you and ultimately support your decision, making it an effort to protect the shareholder value. Now, less than 2 weeks after McMahon left the company, he had led for decades. Communication records show Emanuel and McMahon arranging an in-person meeting at a steakhouse in New York on August 10th of 2022. McMahon would bring along with him WWE's then co-CEOs, his daughter Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan. At that point, McMahon had no formal role at WWE, but he continued to be the company's largest and controlling shareholder. His only formal power during this time was voting control. However, that entailed that any company sale or merger would require his support. 8 days after they seemingly met for lunch, on August 18th, 2022, Emanuel sent McMahon a series of messages, including a few links to TikTok videos and an apparent invitation for special access to a Bill Burr comedy show at Fenway Park. Records indicate Emanuel then sent McMahon multiple voice messages. What Emanuel said to McMahon in those voice memos isn't in the public record. The Endeavor super agent and then sent McMahon a download link of content of which are also unknown. But Emanuel followed this up with a striking text that suggested they might have been discussing something other than stand-up comedy. Quote, "I will be your greatest partner." On August 22nd, 2022, Emanuel texted McMahon again, quote, "I know you met with Jeff Sine yesterday," he wrote, referring to a senior banker at the Rain Group, who would later serve as WWE's financial advisor in the sale process. They made plans to speak the next day before McMahon headed to Italy. Emanuel was eager enough to meet with McMahon. He said that he was willing to fly from Paris to Italy to be together. Whether they spoke later that day or what the substance of any conversation may have been isn't reflected in the current public records. The exchange, though, shows Emanuel was ready and aware of McMahon's advisor contacts. And there's just a lot more here. I don't want to bore you guys with all of it, but you can go to Post Wrestling and read the whole thing. I think they did do a podcast today as well with Brandon Thurston breaking this all down, because there's also some other text messages where Vince McMahon is texting Nick Khan, basically asking him, hey, has Triple H told, or has Paul told the plan for WrestleMania to Roman and Cody? And he's like, Nick Khan's like, not that I know of. And he's like, Paul, have you? And then Nick Khan sends him something that says Lassing or something like that. And he says, read it backwards. And it says signal. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But yeah, very interesting that it seems like this Endeavor deal with WWE was in the cards even before Vince McMahon planned to put the company for sale or made it public that he was going to put the company for sale. And there's just a lot here to go through and read and look at. And again, I do urge you guys to go to Post Wrestling and read this because it is a very, very interesting read. I did read through the whole thing earlier, but again, like I said, I don't want to bore all of you just sitting here reading it. So, I read like the big bulk of things. And there's, like I said, there's still a lot more. There's more where like I could read you some headlines here because they broke it down in like headlines. So that's just proving that before Vince came back, basically, he was in talks with people from Endeavor and they knew what his plan was going to be. But there's also stuff here, like one headline here says, WWE Endeavor have said just different things about what WWE Endeavor have said about the deal and making it official. Stuff about Liberty and Greg Maffey calling the deal pre-wired. Remember, the Liberty Group, which I think owns F1, was one of the companies that wanted to purchase WWE, but they wanted to, have Vince out. They state that after WWE and Endeavor announced their deal in April of 2023, senior executives of Liberty Media privately contradicted the process, which was saying that it wasn't competitive. Liberty's then president and CEO, Greg Maffey, and a senior managing director at investment firm Blackstone, Joseph Barata, exchanged emails. Looks like they have been cooking this one up for a while. Yep, pre-wired. Again, it seems like Vince always had a plan to sell it to, or he didn't even sell it. He gave this company to Ari well before, anyone knew the company was officially for sale. And then there's just more emails and stuff from Liberty talking about how there's also stuff talking about how WWE talked about taking the company private, the merger with Endeavor, and so much more. And even this, here's the one that I was telling you about with him texting about WrestleMania. So McMahon had been attending more WWE events in 2023 and asked Khan whether McMahon had become more involved in creative process. One set of text messages just state, text from me to Paul and Bruce. Hey guys, just double checking. Does Roman and Cody know the new creative, RE WrestleMania next year? Not to my knowledge, says Bruce Pritchard. I don't know if Paul had that conversation with either. Roman's first appearance since we spoke is Friday in DC. Both will be there in person. Vince to Paul. Have you? Question mark. That's when Nick Khan would then text him Langus. And Vince says, what in the blue hell is Langus, LOL? And he says, read it backwards. Khan replied, likely referring to Signal messaging app, basically saying, hey, use the Signal messaging app. Because I think that's similar to WhatsApp, where things are encrypted and you can delete them and all kinds of stuff. So that's an interesting one. If they are talking about using the Signal app. But yeah, again, there's a lot here. Very interesting stuff here. But it does prove all those reports from 2023 saying, hey, Vince did have a hand in creative. Vince was, working on the creative end of things, even though they wanted you to think that it was all Triple H. But then we learned that it was Vince, because there was those reports saying that, Vince was the one that said Cody's not winning at WrestleMania 39. Roman's going to hold the title longer. And that was a Vince call. And that was reported by Meltzer, I want to say maybe Fightful, and others at the time. Now, everyone goes, never mind. I'm not even going to get into this. There's some people trying to say, I knew it all along. I knew that Vince was around all along. And then the same people that keep saying that Vince is still in WWE. Vince is still working with the company in some form or fashion. But that's not true. We all knew that coming into WrestleMania 39, Vince was still involved, because that's when they already announced the sale. And we had learned that Vince changed the creative for WrestleMania 39, which in the end was actually the better call. But it's like anyone trying to say, I knew it. Why are you reporting this now? Because A, you didn't know nothing. You just talked about what others reported. And B, they're reporting it now because it's coming out in court documents and it's confirming those reports of, hey, Vince was talking to Ari Emanuel and Endeavor a long time ago, even before anything. And it confirmed the reports of Vince was involved in creative for WrestleMania 39. It's just confirming earlier couple-year-old reports. That's what this all is. Not the whole, reporting old news that certain people already knew or thought they knew. No, that's not what this is. But it is very interesting. Go read it, postwrestling.com. Check it out. I highly, highly encourage you guys to do so. But with all of that, as far as tonight's Monday Night Raw does go, they were in Orlando, Florida. Final Monday Night Raw of 2025. Hopefully starting next week, we start getting the whole, I'm going to be in the Rumble, I'm going to declare for the Rumble kind of thing. Because no one said they're in the Rumble so far. I'm shocked Gunther hasn't said it yet. I really am. I'm really shocked Gunther wasn't like the first to declare, I beat John Cena. I made him tap like a bitch. Now I'm going to win the Rumble. But the show opens up with Austin Theory's return as the Masked Man. They keep showing stuff of that. And they show stuff that happened last week on Raw. They showed Rey Mysterio Jr. with, I think it's Rhea Ripley's dog. Everyone on Twitter kept saying it's his dog. But why would he bring his dog all the way to Orlando? I'm pretty sure that's Rhea's dog. They showed Women's World Champion Stephanie McMahon. Backstage, we see The Vision, Austin Theory, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, and Paul Heyman all walking down to the ring as the crowd is chanting for CM Punk. Heyman said, Punk could have been in The Vision if he had listened to him, but he stupidly placated the audience instead. Heyman claimed that in 5 years, fans would look back at all the WrestleMania main eventers standing in the ring next to him tonight. Heyman then officially welcomed Austin Theory as the newest official member of The Theory, but did so, as The Vision, but did so without mentioning his awesome new coat. Commentary did. Wade Barrett did. Theory took the mic, saying that he had waited his entire life and career for this moment, but he could get too deep into it, though. In living color then plays as CM Punk comes down to the ring. The best in the world slowly makes his way down there because he knows if he gets in this ring, it's 4-on-1. You don't count Paul, so it's not 5-on-1. It's 4-on-1. So he's like, yeah, I ain't getting in that ring. And Braun Breaker's like, come on, get in the ring. Come in here, talk to me face to face. He's like, I'm not doing that with the Vision in there. If they leave, maybe. And so Heyman's kind of like talking to Braun, and he's talking to the others and everything. And Logan Paul kind of goes over towards the corner and he like pats the ring, goes, I'll wipe it off for you. I'll make it clean for you. It's kind of funny. But Punk said, you know, I'm not dumb. They're just going to attack me if I get in there with all of them. Then it would probably mean that there wouldn't be a title match between us next week. He said, with your safety net in place, he asked Breaker, or he said, with your safety net in place, of course you want me in there. How about you get them out of the ring? Breaker's like, fine. You'll be safe. Don't worry about it. He invited him in the ring as well. The Vision went to ringside. They got out of the ring. And it was funny because, like, Heyman gets out of the ring. Austin Theory gets out of the ring. Bronson Reed gets out of the ring. And then Logan's looking around like, oh, we're actually getting out? Okay. So Punk and Breaker go nose to nose. And oh, my God, did Braun Breaker cut a hell of a promo. The kind of promo where you go, this guy can't lose next week, right? Oh, man. Like, this was one of those, he just did it promos. Because this was great. He says that everyone keeps talking to me about, I'm going to be a future world champion. I'm going to main event WrestleManias. I'm going to take the future. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not the future. I'm the now. And you shouldn't take me lightly. You think it's very animated. Sounds like a fucking Steiner, especially his Uncle Scott. Like when he gets into it and you can hear the emotion in his voice, he sounds like Scott Steiner. Not his dad, but Scott. Who do, for the most part, kind of sounds similar. Breaker went on to say that you probably think that I was handed everything because of my family, that everything came easy to me, but no, the opposite. I was under a microscope. I had to do things better than everybody. I had to be better than everybody because of my family. He's like, yeah, you're mad that I didn't pay my dues on some indies. But when you were out there on the indies, I was sharing a field with Lamar Jackson. So on January 5th, I'm going to be willing to die for that world title. And I know you will too. And I'm going to let you when I bury you in this ring. Punk tried to talk and Breaker kept going for another moment. Punk then said that he knows Breaker is ready for the big time. But Punk isn't ready to give it all up. Punk put the belt on the mat and dared Breaker to try and pick it up. Punk said Breaker doesn't get the title. He doesn't get that the title is a heavy privilege. And Breaker isn't CM Punk. That's what the difference here is. Punk said he will see him on January 5th, and the segment was over. Like I said, I didn't do this justice. The Braun Breaker promo here was really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought he was great, talking about how, basically he said, in theory, everyone's overlooking me right now, and they don't think I'm ready yet. Yet within less than a year of coming into this business, I took it by storm. I took it over. And I was the guy that everybody was talking about being the guy. Well, I'm not going to be the guy. I am the guy is basically what he said. He's like, I'm not the future. I'm the now. And the now is winning the world title next week. And just the way he cut this promo to me was like, oh shit, he should win this title. I don't want him to win. I kind of want to play the long game a little bit with it. But at the same time, it's like, I would not at all be like mad if they take that title off of Punk to put it on Braun Breaker now. But at the same time, and that's the other hard thing. That's the other hard thing here. It's like, how do you beat him? These shouldn't just be straight up beating Braun Breaker. Punk shouldn't just give him a GTS and pin him. Put him in the Anaconda Vice and tap him out. No. Like, there's got to be some sort of, and I hate to say it, bullshit. Because I don't want to see any momentum taken from Braun Breaker. There's guys in this business where you can say, oh, you beat him, he'll be fine. Like a CM Punk. Like a John Cena before he retired. Like maybe even like a Seth Rollins when he was still around. Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes. Those are the kind of guys that they're they're established. They've been around for a long time. They're former world champions and everything. And it's like, you beat them, they'll be fine. But I don't want to see Braun Breaker beat and him lose any of this momentum that he's got right now, because I feel like in this last month, the month of December specifically, they've really been ramping him up something good. So we go to the back, and Raquel Rodriguez is being interviewed before her Triple Threat Women's World Championship match. She's then interrupted by Liv Morgan, who kind of shocked Raquel to see her there. And she's just like, you need to win this for the Judgment Day. We know you can do it, though. I was talking to Roxanne. She's like, excuse me, Roxanne? You were talking to Roxanne about what? Roxanne's like, hey, what's going on? I heard my name. Good luck tonight, Raquel. She's like, I don't need no luck. I'm going to handle this myself. And so we did have a triple threat match for the Women's World Championship. Stephanie Vicaire defending against Nikki Bella and Raquel Rodriguez. The match was fine. I really don't think it was anything special. Nikki Bella needs to stop doing that disaster kick where she jumps off the ropes and she misses almost every time. It doesn't look good. Stop doing it. You're supposed to kick them like right in the chin. And if she even gets close, she's kicking them like lower chest. It doesn't look good. So Rodriguez and Bella have both had multiple shots at this title, and yeah, they didn't get it done tonight again. The bell rang, and they started arguing with Bella declaring, quote, I'm a legend. I'm like, yeah, okay, that means nothing really. Rodriguez then took the opportunity to throw her to the ground, and Vicaire tried to steal one with a quick roll-up, but nothing really got it. This is when Joe Tessitore, when speaking about Raquel Rodriguez and Judgment Day, did confirm that Dominic Mysterio was injured. Excuse me, he states that on the last AAA show, Dominic Mysterio suffered some sort of a shoulder injury. They do not know the severity of it yet, and that Dom is out indefinitely. So we don't know how bad the shoulder injury is. We know how he suffered the shoulder injury. Ray countered a suplex into a DDT, and when Dom came down for the DDT, he landed a little wonky right on his shoulder. So instead of just coming straight down, he came down like a slight angle, and it's that accident that happened. And so he messed up his shoulder. And you could see for the rest of that match, he did like one more move, took a couple of moves, but never really did anything with that right arm. So they did confirm tonight that Dom did suffer a shoulder injury. They said shoulder injury and out indefinitely. I think they also made mention of JD McDonough being out, but didn't state anything about it. He had like hand or wrist surgery recently. I don't know if it's the hand, the thumb, the wrist, or what, but he's like, he posted a photo of having surgery or whatever, and then it's like his hand's all taped up here, but it's like around the thumb and the lower part of the hand, wrist there. So we don't know exactly what the injury to JD is. Anyways, back in the ring, Bella and Vicaire fell victim to Rodriguez's power. Bella was taken out, and Rodriguez fought back with a headbutt, but Rodriguez immediately struck back and put her in a twisting wrist lock before throwing her to the mat for an elbow. Vicaire kicked out at 2. Bella leapt off the turnbuckle, but Rodriguez caught her and threw her aside. She grabbed Vicaire and put her in a gory special, trying to make her tap. Vicaire was able to keep her cool and reversed into a sunset pin, but Bella broke it up. At one point, Vicaire flipped them both over and delivered a double devil's kiss to both women. She then put them both in opposite corners and did dueling meteoras. She then hit a dragon screw on Bella and twisted the knee of Raquel Rodriguez. Bella slipped to the outside and tripped Vicaire on the apron. Rodriguez then knocked them both to the outside. Rodriguez then bounced Bella's head off the announce table and tried to go for a pin on Vicaire. No dice, kick out of 2. Rodriguez then came back with a lariat and exited the ring to make sure Bella wasn't an issue by dropping her face first on the ring apron. She tossed her back into the ring, and Bella kicked her off before she could move for the pin. Rodriguez was still in control here, using her power, and did the twisting Vader bomb on Bella. She then went back to Vicaire in the corner, prepping her for the big elbow. She then set Vicaire on the top turnbuckle, but Vicaire kicked her in the face. And right at about this time, she did a rope-assisted armbar. Bella then broke it up because, well, yeah, he broke it up. It was whatever. All three then climbed to the top rope, and somehow Bella did like a flipping somersault senton kind of deal where she then power bombed Raquel, who also had Stephanie up here, hit her with the suplex. So we had a little Tower of Doom spot. She couldn't land the pin though on either woman, and then went for an AA on Vicaire. Rodriguez interrupted it into a big boot. Maybe not an AA. Maybe she just had her up for a torture rack. I don't know. I wrote AA for some reason. She then tried to go for a power bomb, but Bella got free and walked right into Vicaire, hitting a big angel's wing pile driver, face buster, whatever you're calling this thing. Like you set her up for an angel's wing, but then she like dropped Nikki face first on her knees, but it looked a little awkward, and commentary wasn't sure what to call it either. Like an angel's wings into a face buster. But she went for the pin, and Rodriguez broke it up. As we come towards the finish of the match, Vicaire hit a jawbreaker on Rodriguez, but she blocked the next move, and Vicaire was forced to resort to a small package that didn't really land. Rodriguez then dragged Vicaire to the corner and went for a high move, but Bella pulled Vicaire out of the ring and tried to get a quick pin. Rodriguez then picked up Vicaire and Bella, but Vicaire worked herself out, and Bella took the brunt of the powerbomb. Vicaire then threw Rodriguez out of the ring after she had given Bella a Tahana bomb and scooped up Bella for the pin to retain the title. Basically, I wouldn't say Stephanie stole it, per se. Like I said, Rodriguez was thrown out of the ring after she gave Nikki a Tahana bomb, and then, yeah, she scooped up Bella and pinned her 1, 2, 3. Stephanie Vicaire retains the title. Again, it was a fine match, but it was nothing special at all. Like, nothing special. Backstage, Gunther was being interviewed, talking about how other wrestlers on the roster think you're being disrespectful to John Cena. And this is so weird. Because he's like, I'm being disrespectful? And then all of a sudden, R-Truth comes up and goes, quit being disrespectful. You're talking crap about John Cena. And I'm just like, what is this? Literally, Jackie asked him, what do you think of others saying you're being disrespectful to John Cena and using disrespectful behavior? And before he can even answer, Truth just walks up and is like, God, you being disrespectful. It was weird. Very weird. But basically, he was like, God, I retired Goldberg, I retired Cena. Maybe let's make it a third. I'll see you in the ring. So, Gunther versus Truth. Next up, the women's tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors, came down to the ring. They danced during a commercial break. There's a recap of Asuka versus Rhea Ripley last week, and then Asuka grabbed a mic and started gloating. I beat Rhea. I beat Rhea. She then starts yelling in Japanese. Not sure exactly what she said. And then switched to English to call the crowd, you're all stupid babies. Then it got a little weird because Kairi Sane went next, and she was talking, and then eventually Asuka just yells, Kairi! And I was like, okay, you just got to get it in. You just got to get it in at this point now. It's just become a meme. So suddenly, as they're talking crap about their challengers next week, their challengers come out. We hear Rhea's music hit. Rhea's music hits, and her and Io march down to the ring. The Kabuki Warriors bail, but they didn't stop Ripley and Sky from starting a brawl. Ripley took the action to Asuka, with Sane threw Sky back first hard into the announce table, which led to Rhea jumping out of the ring to try and save her, but Asuka jumped her from behind. Io was then dumped over the timekeeper's area. The Kabuki Warriors tried to set up Rhea for the insane elbow, the assisted insane elbow, but Io came back and broke it all up, pushing Kairi off the top rope. They all kind of brawled, not really much more here. They did a little bit of a skirmish, and then the champions basically retreated. These two teams will battle next week for the women's tag titles. Backstage, Rey Mysterio was warming up for his match with Austin Theory when he had a little chat with CM Punk. Punk said, hey, if you need my back, if you need me to have your back, I got you. And Punk's like, I got it covered. Remember, Rey said, I got it covered. Punk's like, okay. And yeah, wasn't really sure at the moment what he meant. I didn't think Penta. A, we hadn't heard anything about Penta getting cleared. And B, Penta was in freaking San Francisco yesterday at the 49er game. That wasn't late. So I'm like, oh, this man either took a red eye or a very early morning flight to go from San Francisco to freaking Orlando today. Then we got that Gunther R-Truth match. Gunther absolutely soaked in the hatred from the crowd. Loved being the heel of all heels right now. He climbed on the announce table and took off his jacket, revealing his new shirt that says, "Tap like a ... I love it. I freaking love it. And it shows John Cena tapping out on the shirt. You can buy it on WWE Shop. Gunther then grabbed the mic and said the audience's anger is misdirected. They should be mad at Cena because Cena tapped out, quote, like a bitch. I want to say this was all done during a commercial break, too. Truth then arrived to avenge his childhood hero. He went right after Gunther at the bell, caught him looking and peppered him with a few punches and kicks. And then for a few minutes until Gunther finally was like, I'm done with him, and chopped him down. Truth tried to fight back, but Gunther was in control and went for a powerbomb. Truth countered, but still ended up, getting chopped down again, this time in the corner. Gunther threw a devastating lariat and asked if Truth was going to give up. Pounded on Truth again and again, doing the Cena you can't see me gesture. That fired up Truth, though, and he hit a shoulder tackle, but unfortunately, Gunther, has huge shoulders and barely moved. Didn't sell it, really. Gunther then powerbombed Truth, pinned him, and there we go. Well, almost. Went for the pin, pulled him a 2. Gunther then laid in some more elbows, and then put Truth in the same sleeper that Cena was in, and Truth, tapped out as Gunther celebrated in victory. Yeah, they're just getting Gunther over as this big bad monster heel, and it's working. I think it's working. Then we got an interesting segment backstage with the Usos. Jimmy was trying to get Jay all hyped up for the match, and Jay's like, things haven't been going my way recently. I've been down in the dumps. I've had a little bad luck. So, if I'm not super enthused by tonight, that's why. I keep losing. I don't want to let you down. I don't want to pull you into my losing ways as well. And Jimmy's like, that's nonsense. You're former world champion, multi-time tag team champion. Get ready. Yell yeet. Be my brother. Jay stood up, seemingly ready to go. But you can still see he's got this look on his face of doubt. Like, Jimmy hyped him up a little, but he's still not 100% sure of himself in that moment. Which all was weird because they just ended up winning later anyways. And it wasn't like there was any time in that match where, I thought coming off of this segment, there was going to be a time in the match where, Jay fumbles. Jay has, a planned botch spot kind of thing or something, or he messes something up to feel more doubt. So, yeah, this is a little weird. So then the World Tag Team Champions AJ Styles and Dragon Lee were backstage, and all of a sudden Javon Evans shows up and like, hey, Javon, what are you doing here? He's like, I don't know. Adam Pearce asked me to be here. I was like, that's weird. He's like, when we fought you and Leon Slater, it was a great match. Time of our lives. And if you ever want to run it back, go talk to Adam Pearce. We'll gladly give you guys a title shot after we beat the Usos. And they're like, also, we're proud of you for getting called up. Is basically what they said. Then they left, and Evans and Styles admitted that they had no idea. So Dragon Lee said something in Spanish, walked off, and then they were like, yeah, I don't know what he said. Also, there was the show warming up backstage. The rest of the division showed up to encourage him and welcome him into the group. Again, someone made the mistake of giving Logan Paul a chance to talk, and he admitted he was a little nervous joining the division, but he thinks Theory's got it locked down. And suggested that Paul and Theory bond by having Paul walk Theory to the ring for his match against Rey Mysterio coming up next. So Theory came down to the ring with Logan Paul, new music, and a new little pose. The bell rang. Theory aggressively went after Mysterio, throwing him into the corner. Mysterio countered with a back elbow and a Hurricane Rana. Theory then popped back up and laid in some haymakers on Mysterio until Mysterio countered it with a jawbreaker. The Theory kept the aggression going until Mysterio tried to get him in position for a 619. Theory rolled out of the ring, and Mysterio followed. Theory caught him and slammed him into the ring post. And then the ring apron, before tossing him back into the ring with the Irish whip off the turnbuckle. Theory then stomped Mysterio's hand and set him up for a flapjack, but Mysterio tried to roll him up and steal the victory. Theory kicked out at 2 and began stomping Mysterio's knees. Theory then continued beating Mysterio from post to post, working his back and legs, both of which Mysterio, well, we know has a history of injuries with. But then things got interesting. Theory put Mysterio in a tree of woe, but Mysterio countered when he charged him and hit him with the West Coast Pop into a Hurricane Rana. He then punched him about 10 times in the head, but Theory countered with a big boot. Paul began offering advice, and Theory picked up Mysterio in a torture rack, kind of just racked at him and racked at him and racked at him until Mysterio countered into a DDT. Mysterio then set Theory up and landed a 619. But after Paul tripped him from the outside, causing a DQ. Logan Paul, that is. So, yeah. Just DQ finish. And the match was fine. Again, it was all right. They worked well together, but I wouldn't say this like some, oh my God, super good, great match or anything. It was a solid TV match where it's like, Ray's going to help Austin Theory get through this match. And I'm not saying Austin Theory's bad or anything, but it's like, you could tell Ray, of course, is the veteran of the match, but was like in control. After the match, Paul and Theory beat down Mysterio until, well, Penta would make the big save. This was a shocker. He came down to the ring making the save, setting up Paul for a 619 before throwing him over the top rope via a lariat. The two luchadors then celebrated in the ring as Theory and Logan slipped away. Penta's back, and it seems like we're getting a tag match. Did they announce that for next week? Let me double check. I don't think I wrote down what they announced for next week, because I don't know if they announced anything new. I think we just have the 3 title matches, I want to say. Backstage, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky cut a pre-tape promo about how they're going to beat the Kabuki Warriors next week. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee were shown working out, prepping for their match, getting warmed up. Next, the New Day joins Byron Saxton, and it's just more of them talking crap on the tag team division. Nothing special. And then Woods did his, you should thank God for the New Day. Joe Tessitore then told us that he's moving to SmackDown. Him and Wade are going to take over the SmackDown commentary. Michael Cole and Corey Graves are going to come do Raw starting next week. And Joe Tessitore reminded everyone that SmackDown and Saturday Night's Main Event are coming to Montreal late January. So, yeah, commentary change coming next week with the Raw team going back to the Raw team going to SmackDown and the SmackDown team going to Raw. Not sure why they're doing this change, but I think it has to do with Joe Tess is probably done with college football, and they'd rather have Michael Cole on Raw, the flagship. And so when Joe Tess' schedule allows him to be working Fridays, he's going to be working Fridays. So then we got Maxine Dupree, and this was not good at all. This was actually kind of bad. So we come back from like a break, and Maxine's in the ring, and she just goes, "You have a good holiday? Hey, you have a good Christmas? Yeah, mine was great." And I'm just like, who the fuck are you talking to? She's like pointing at somebody. I don't even know. Weird. But Dupree comes down to the ring and whatnot, and they say, "You deserve it." They chant, "You deserve it. You deserve it." And I'm like, what? Dupree said that Becky Lynch complained about all this, all she wants, but she's not the champion anymore. But on January 5th, and then out comes Becky before she could say anything else. Lynch walks down to the ring with a mic, denying that she tapped out. She goes to step into the ring. Or first off, she talks about how, "I didn't tap out to you, but I tapped out to living in Orlando. Yeah, I don't want to be here as much as anybody else. Maybe you guys can get rich or famous and leave Orlando as well." And then she called her moody. First off, she goes to get in the ring, and Maxine goes, "Wait. Better make sure I don't get that again." I'm like, "Get that again?" She goes, "Or else 2 things are going to happen." And I'm like, "Oh, the ankle." It's like, "I'm going to make you tap out once more, or I'm just going to beat you again." And I'm like, what is this? Lynch then called her Moody Maxine. And she came to give her some credit. She used to think that Dupree was awful. the worst she's ever seen. But over the last few weeks, she's actually gotten a tiny bit better after, well, she managed to steal that title. Dupree said that she earned this title and will prove it next week as she defends the title against Becky once again. Becky became enraged, saying that she came out here to be nice and as a, quote, very nice person. Dupree has nothing on her. She's the greatest female wrestler of all time, and even Sports Illustrated and the Bleacher Report say that. Lynch said that Dupree needs to ask herself if she's as good as she really thinks she is. And welcome Dupree to, quote, the big time. Dupree's like, oh, I know I can beat you. I'm going to beat you next week. And Sports Illustrated will be talking about that. And we're just like, oh my God, all this shit about Sports Illustrated this and Sports Illustrated that. Fuck off. Trick Williams is then in the back being, well, over the top Trick Williams. Like he was more big tricky than normal. We're talking to Adam Pearce. And Adam Pearce is like, oh, so what's it going to take to get you here on Monday Night Raw? He goes, well, let me know what you got. But take your time, but don't take your time because SmackDown's coming for me too, baby. He's like, here's my card. Hit me up. 1-800-WHIP that. And Pierce is like, all right, I'm going to put you on my speed dial. I'm like, what the fuck was this? Trick, in my opinion, and I hope this doesn't come off bad. Trick is coming off, what's his name from Starsky and Hutch? Sugar Bear or whatever. Who did Snoop play in the Starsky and Hutch movie? That's who Trick Williams reminds me of. That character. Snoop Dogg's character from the Starsky and Hutch movie. Where he's like, not a pimp, but he's talking like a 70s pimp, kind of. You know what, daddy? I don't even fucking know how to explain it. Anyways, Lyra and Bailey come in. Bailey's being wacky Bailey, calling Adam Pearce an idiot. Lyra says that they want a shot at the tag titles and can they be next in line? And Adam Pearce says, well, you know, Liv and Raquel were just, or Liv and Roxanne were just in here and they want a shot. He's like, Liv and Roxanne? What Liv and Roxanne? Man, Liv just came back. And he has a whole thing. And this has got weird. And then Pearce did the whole, I need a drink. So 3 matches have been announced for next week's show, all title matches. First off, we do know that the Women's Intercontinental Championship will be on the line when Maxine Dupree defends against Becky Lynch. The women's tag team titles will be on the line with the Kabuki Warriors defending against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And in what I assume is next week's main event, World Heavyweight Championship on the line, CM Punk defending against Braun Breaker. That leads us to our main event tonight. Another title match, the World Tag Team Championships on the line. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending against the Usos. Of course, well, Usos yeeted their way down to the ring for their entrance. Lee and Styles then came to the ring together, prompting a weird chant from the crowd that I really couldn't grasp or hear properly. Jay and Styles started things off with a lockup. Jay got Styles into the corner and the ref broke it up. Off of that, Jay dodged a Styles charge and threw him face first. Styles responded, or fist first into the face, I mean. Styles responded with a drop kick and tagged in Lee. They double teamed Jay, who rolled out of the ring. Jimmy tried to intervene and they sent him out as well. Lee and Styles let them collect themselves and let them get back into the ring. Jay was still a legal man and faced off with Dragon Lee, who had him out of the gate with some, who got him out of the gate with some hard punches. Lee then used Jay's yeet gesture and tagged Styles back in the ring to get the quick cover. Jay kicked out at 2. So it's like what I said earlier about I wanted Jay to have some sort of a fumble or some sort of like miscommunication here. I mean, early on, they were like dominating Jay in a way. So it's like, I guess that is what I was saying. Ish, kind of, but I wish it was more like Jay did something to mess up in a way. Not just you couldn't fend them off, you know. But eventually he does get near enough to the corner for Jimmy to tag in and lock a headlock on Lee, twisting at his neck. Lee then started fighting out of it, but Jimmy threw him at the ground and locked it back in, working the head and neck even harder. Lee got out of it and landed a double stomp on Jimmy to charge the momentum. Styles then made a blind tag and chopped Jimmy against the ropes. He delivered a back elbow, and Jimmy and Jay hit a high kick through the ropes while the ref's back was turned. Jay then tagged in and stomped Styles' midsection. He tagged in Jimmy and held Styles for Jimmy to throw some chops. The Usos working well together here. Lee eventually tagged in and hit head scissors on Jimmy. He then hit a springboard dropkick in the corner and charged Jimmy as he staggered to his feet. Lee then caught Jay in a sit-out powerbomb who had just tagged in, but Jay kicked out of 2. Jay then rolled out, and Lee went for a dive after him, but Jimmy grabbed his ankles and dragged him to the outside. Jimmy then pulled the cover on top off the announce table, but Styles leapt off the stairs to stop him from doing anything else. Jay then leapt over the top rope, take out Styles, and put Jimmy back in the ring. At one point, Jay snuck around and got a shot on Lee from behind the referee's back. He wasn't the clear legal man. And Jimmy pounded him in the corner. There was some "Let's go Usos" AJ Styles chant. "Let's go Usos" AJ Styles. Jay then tagged in and knocked Styles off the apron. Jimmy tagged back in and chopped Lee in the corner, setting him up on the top turnbuckle. Jimmy then went for a DDT, but Lee countered into a big double stomp. Lee then got the hot tag Lee then got the hot tag to Styles as Jimmy got one to Jay, and they met in the middle of the ring. Styles then started spamming kicks and punches, taking out both Jimmy and Jay. He set Jay up for a Styles clash, but Jay powered out and hit a spear before tagging in Jimmy, who came off the top of the big splash. Jimmy then went for the pin on AJ, but he kicked out at just the last second, 2.9. Jimmy then went up top for another one, but Lee pulled him off the turnbuckle. Jay charged at him, but Lee dodged, and Jay hit his head on the post. Jimmy moved to the outside, and Lee dove after him, driving him onto the announce table. As we come towards the end of the match here, back in the ring, Styles and Jay battled until Styles was able to get the Styles clash in. He pinned Jay, well, kind of. He only got a 2 off of it. Crowd loses their mind, chanting, "This is awesome." All 4 men were catching their breath at this point. Lee then hit a double stomp, and Styles went for another Styles clash, but Jimmy came back in and took out Lee. Styles then went for the phenomenal forearm instead, but met a double super kick from the Usos. The Usos then quickly hit a flurry of big moves, including a 1D on Lee to pin. 1D on Lee to pin Styles to win the titles. There we go. The Usos are now 9-time tag team champions. And they kept saying the Usos are the greatest tag team of all time. The Usos are the best tag team we've ever seen. But don't the New Day have like 11 title reigns with them tag titles in WWE? And who knows how many the Dudleys got. So it's like, of greatest tag teams of all time, you could maybe put the Usos in the top 10. I mean, not top 10. Of course, they're in the top 10. Top 5. But do you put them above the New Day? That's my question. Just because the New Day have more title reigns, does that make them better? Because I would say at the top, probably the Dudleys, Team 3D, greatest tag team of all time, in my opinion. And of course, this is all opinion based. Factual, yes, because they've won tag titles everywhere. NWA, TNA, New Japan, WWE. Technically, I think they had the WCW titles at one point through the Invasion, ECW. So it's like they won titles everywhere. So it's like, I would put the Dudleys as the greatest tag team of all time. But then it's like, where do you go from there? The Hardys at number 2? Honestly, I would probably put the Usos at number it's a tough one. Because Usos at number 3. And then I know everyone's going to be like, where's Edge and Christian? And no, Road Warriors for me at number 4. Maybe you can put the Road Warriors above the Usos. And maybe some are going to put the Road Warriors higher. Maybe they put them at number 2. And I'm just going off my childhood nostalgia, putting the Dudleys and Hardys 1 and 2. And you may ask again, well, why aren't you putting Edge and Christian up there so high? And it's like, because for me, Edge is more of a singles guy. I saw Edge more as a singles guy than a tag guy. Yes, Edge and Christian was a great tag team, multi-time tag team champions, won all them triangle ladder matches and TLC matches. But I saw Edge have more success as a singles than a tag guy. And yes, you can kind of say that about Jeff Hardy. But at the same time, you kind of can't say that about Jeff Hardy. The Dudleys, Bubba maybe had a little bit of success as a singles. A hardcore champion in WWE, won on couple other titles, TNA World Champion. What Devon really do as a singles? Not much, if anything. Came down to the ring as a reverend with the debuting Dika Batista. Didn't work. But like if I'm ranking my top 5 tag teams of all time, Dudleys, Hardys, and then I'm stuck. Road Warriors or Usos. And again, I might be thinking my nostalgia, what I grew up with. I'm going to go Road Warriors and then Usos. But then it's like, do you put the New Day at number 5? Some may say Rock and Roll Express. I don't know. This is an interesting conversation to have. You know, greatest tag teams of all time. You know what? Let's ask ChatGPT. Let's go ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT. Let's see what ChatGPT says. Who are the 5 greatest tag teams in all of professional wrestling history? Let's see. I should have been like, don't limit it to one company. Blah, blah, blah. I should have gave it more. They say Road Warriors. ChatGPT says number 1, Road Warriors. Number 2, Midnight Express. Number 3, the Dudleys. So they would put the Dudleys at 3. The Hart Foundation, Brett and Jim at 4. The Steiners at number 5. Steiners at number 5. That's an interesting one. I would put Steiners top 10, but not number 5. It would maybe just make my top 10, the Steiners. Maybe 9, 10. Notable, they say notable honorable mentions. Hardy Boys, the Young Bucks, Rock and Roll Express, which again, Rock and Roll Express, not making it, but Midnight Express. Maybe I just haven't seen enough Midnight Express, Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey. And I can say that. I haven't seen a lot of Midnight Express, but I have seen a good amount of Rock and Roll Express. So maybe that's why I just think they're better. And then 2 other notable honorable mentions. The Briscoes, which they talk about Mark and Jay, or Jack and Gerald. I think they're talking Mark and Jay probably. And then Edge and Christian. But ChatGPT says top 5 greatest tag teams of all time: the Road Warriors, the Midnight Express, the Dudleys, the Hart Foundation, and the Steiners. The Steiners. Really? Okay, then. Very interesting. But with that, Usos celebrate, and the show goes off the air. That was Monday Night Raw. A good show, not a great show. Easy to watch show with a title change in the main event. With that, you know what I thought of the show. Now it's time to hear what you guys thought of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Oh, never mind. I was looking at something over here that confused me. The time of how long we've been live, and it confused me. But I realized I have how long we've been live and how long I've been recording, and they're off by a couple of minutes. With that, though, let's check the polls and see what you guys thought of tonight's Monday Night Raw. As far as the Threads poll does go, 52% liked the show, 38% thought it was just all right, and 10% didn't like it. Looking at the Twitter X poll, 75% liked the show, 8% thought it was 75% liked the show, 16% didn't, and 8% thought it was just all right. Looking at the community poll, 78% liked the show, 13% thought it was just all right, and 9% didn't like it. And as far as the live poll does go, wrapping everything up, 79% liked the show, 19% thought it was just all right, and 2% didn't like it. With that, guys, that is going to wrap everything up. I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. With that, guys, we should be back live on a Wednesday, maybe. Not sure what I'm doing Wednesday for AEW Dynamite New Year's Smash. I may have some New Year's plans. It's going to take me away, so I'm not sure. I'll keep you guys up on what's going on there. So with that, have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your week. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.